This is Sergeant Chris Richardson with the Tennessee Highway Patrol. Pedestrian safety is a two-way street. Both drivers and walkers need to do their part to keep roads safe. When you're walking, remember, the drivers may not always see you, so remember to use these tips to continue to walk safely. Wear bright clothes. Always use crosswalks and obey signs. Lights and reflectors should be used. And finally, keep alert and do not walk distracted. This message brought to you by the Tennessee Highway Patrol.
You're listening to Talk Back Live with Bob and Josh. Talking about current events and topics that matter. Call in now, 901-213-6020. 901-213-6020. Now, here's Bob and Josh.
Side of the road. All right. As more information becomes available to us, we'll pass it along to you. It is, wow, time came right up when I was going to ask.
That's it.
Yeah.
8:55.
8:55. 55 minutes past the hour of 8 o'clock, and phone lines are open 901-213-6020. Josh, we were talking about first responder, but we have another story as well.
Yes. We'll get back to that story that we were talking about earlier a little bit later, but this has happened, came out this morning.
Very disturbing, Josh. I took a look at it just now, and it is very disturbing.
Insane story out of Bradenton, Florida. And what's interesting about this, there's several things that have happened in this same area of Florida regarding the police and children. But here's another situation involving a special needs child that was thrown to the ground by a police officer. And it is very disturbing. So just I'm going to prepare y'all because we're about to play that clip and you're about to hear what in the world is going on with this situation.
And as you take a look, please, very disturbing clip. Josh, you ready?
Yeah, in just a second.
Just a second here. You're going to have that clip ready for us and other topics as well to talk about this morning. Yeah.
So, but just as far as this right here, now, why do you think, and this is what we're going to ask what we'll get into, why do you think this continues to happen, these type of situations with the police and really all sorts of people, but especially with children here? It's really pretty crazy.
You're right, because
discuss.
that's what this child is, just a child.
Yeah.
And so why did they react, or this police officer react the way he did with this child? Folks, when you see this audio and this video we're about to show, you find what we're saying. Yeah. And whenever you're ready, Joe.
Ready to go.
All right, folks, let's take a listen to this. Take a look.
A Florida sheriff's deputy is out on jail this morning after a shocking video showed him slamming a teenage girl to the ground. The surveillance footage caught 38-year-old school resource officer, look at that, Willard Miller, manhandling a girl at a school for children with special needs. He is child abuse without great bodily harm. He's now been suspended without pay. Mola Langi's across the street from Cross Creek School, that's in Pompano Beach, Florida. Mola, this video is very tough to watch. What more do we know about this story?
Well, yeah, good morning, Gail. The incident happened here back in September here at this school, as you mentioned, for students with behavioral and emotional issues. Now, because the video is silent, we can't hear exactly what was said in the room. But while this investigation is ongoing, the Broward County Sheriff says that the officer's actions were unacceptable.
Just after 2 p.m. on September 25th, school surveillance video of a 18-year-old girl waiting inside an office with an officer and 2 other adults. You can see the student lightly kick the officer in the back of the head, causing his leg to slightly buckle. But a minute later, the officer rushes over, grabs her around the neck, and slams her to the ground. He then turns her over, puts his knee into her back, and holds her hands behind her before throwing her into another room.
The way the deputy responds for whatever occurred, whatever type of verbal dialogue was going on, it makes no sense and it wasn't necessary.
School resource officers nationwide have come under increasing scrutiny for several recent excessive force claims involving young children. In New Mexico, a resource officer resigned after body cam video from August showed him tackle an 11-year-old middle school student to the ground. And in September, an Orlando officer was fired after he arrested 2 6-year-olds at school. Back in Broward, the Sheriff's Department is focused on fixing its own problems. Just this year, Sheriff Gregory Toney fired this deputy for punching a handcuffed man in the hospital. And he suspended 2 deputies without pay for tackling and pepper spraying a 15-year-old boy in a McDonald's parking lot.
If I have to do this 15 more times, we're going to do it 15 more times. And to those small fraction of people out there and deputies who don't get it are held accountable, and we're going to move them on.
Now, the Broward County Sheriff's Office is conducting an internal investigation before deciding what steps to take next with the officer in this late. including possible termination. If convicted, Deputy Miller faces up to 5 years in prison, Anthony.
All right, Mola, thank you. As hard as that video is to watch, it's good that we have it so we know what happened.
But I applaud Broward County. Yeah. Normally in those sometimes in those situations, officials say, well, you haven't seen the whole tape. Yep. There's more to the story. He's saying what we just saw, whatever happened,
not acceptable.
Is unacceptable.
My mother is a special education teacher. Those jobs are full of tough calls, but the on that tape was not a tough call.
Absolutely right.
All right.
The right hug.
Okay.
All right, there you have it, folks. What do you think? 901-213-6020. The way this guy threw this girl to the floor, I forget how old they say she was.
9.
9 years old or something like that. And the thing about it is, she came up behind the officer and kicked him in his behind his knee, and he buckled. Mm-hmm. But he threw her to the floor like there was a continuation on the tape or something.
Yeah.
Or something else happened, and he threw her to the floor. But I don't know exactly what went on there, but the way he threw her to the floor, clearly, able to handle her without, or arrest her or whatever he wanted to do without throwing her to the floor like he did. I think that's necessary. Now, here's my take on another point on this, Josh.
Okay.
Is that they don't treat all officers the same when they misbehave. This particular officer with this girl, and I don't blame them for arresting him. I don't blame them. I don't blame them for firing him or suspending him without pay. Yeah. I don't blame him for doing it. But if you're going to do it to one officer, do it to you see him throw this girl down, and deservedly, he deserved what he got. But in other cases, we've seen all kinds of other officers, throw people down or beat up people and things like that, and they just suspend the officer, or they don't suspend them. Sometimes they put them on desk duty, or just pending, the outcome of the investigation, but they're still getting paid.
Or that suspended with pay crap.
With pay, all that, I got suspended without pay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just saying. Could it be something here race-related? I don't know.
Well, see,
because of a black officer, or
let's think about a couple things. And I'm glad you brought that up because of thinking. Now, let's look at another situation. If you remember, I think this was a few weeks ago, Bob, on the show. I think it was a few weeks ago on the show where we talked about a black police officer that arrested these two, 5 or 6 year old girls at a middle school. You remember that? And we found out later that they fired the officer rather quickly. Then we found out the officer was black.
Okay.
It was a black officer at that school. So that's my point is, yes, it does seem like certain officers, at least in these last two situations, get swift justice. And ironically, in both situations, the people over the police were both black as well.
Yeah.
Because it was in Orlando. I believe the person over the police department was black. We see here in Bradenton, Florida, that the head officer, at least the one that was speaking, is one of the guys, top guys in charge, was black as well.
Yeah.
So does that play a factor? Should it play a factor?
Well, are black people harder on each other than on their counterparts?
Even though it was the right thing to do.
Even though. I'm not saying that he was wrong in what he did or the officer without pay and that type of thing. I'm not saying that was wrong. But I am saying this. If they're going to do that, and this is going to be something that's like a standard or something that's being done, then they all in one accord and say, okay, this is what we're going to do. Or does it depend on the severity of the incident? Well, this was a severe incident, and I've seen other incidents, Josh, where officers beat up on people, and they've been very severe. Yeah. But yet at the same time, they got suspended or they got a desk job with pay, and if an officer did get suspended, he was suspended with pay if he was a white officer. So I don't know. But, hey, it is so much junk going on now, folks. This is why we really need to pray, and we really need God in our lives, because these type of situations, you can't trust anybody anymore. Talking about people that people really trust back in the day, and even now, people want to trust police officers. There are still good police officers out there. But if they're going to behave like this makes you wonder. This makes people frightened to even greet or for a police officer to pull them over or whatever the case may be. You know, are they really there to protect and serve, or are they there to just
arrest
and beat down people because, you know, of their situation or who they are? They're really not going to be charged in the situation. So I don't know. Then some officers, it takes months over an incident. Then they're still on the job or whatever, and they're still getting pay, or they're suspended with pay. And then it takes months to bring the officers into trial. Mm-hmm. You know, and then, but yet at the same time, they're still on payroll. This officer, swift judgment on him. He was suspended without pay. Now, to me, that sounds like he's not coming back.
Yeah, I would doubt it.
Yeah, so
I don't see how he could.
And I'm not trying to take the side of the officer here. What he did was wrong. Any officer that do something like that, I don't know if I can say this. I don't think we saw all of the details. Mm-hmm. I think some of it was cut out or something.
Well, no. See, now I guess, or maybe they skipped ahead. I don't know.
Or skipped ahead, or
because here's the thing. Now the question is, and it doesn't matter. And I think I agree with the guy.
I agree.
Well, I agree with the guy in the press conference where it says it doesn't matter. But I am curious what happened, because she kicked him in the back of the knee. Now, for them to say he made his knee buckle, I mean, he barely touched her. All he did was flinch. There wasn't no buckling kick. Mm-hmm. I mean, my goodness. But then, moving on, when she's on the other side of the room, it's like he turns around and looks at her, like she said something. And then he went, grabbed her, and essentially gave her a choke slam on the floor, and arrested her like a grown 40-year-old man. So, I don't know what was said that could trigger, you know, a grown officer like that, you know, in that situation. Especially, you know, cameras are watching you too. I just don't get it. None of that made any sense. I mean, it makes you wonder, what is the police mentality? Because I think when you see stuff like this, right, it kind of transcends race to this degree.
Yeah.
Because you see white officers act like this, and now you're seeing black officers act like this. Mm-hmm. What is the mindset with a lot of these officers? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. What is going on where they're acting so overly aggressive? Is it the training? Is that the way they're trained to be that way? It makes you wonder. Mm-hmm.
Having dealt with officers on the job, and what I you know, in the past, you know, dealing with officers, especially Memphis Police Department,
closer,
coming in to where I used to work quite often. They had a tendency to come in acting like jerks. Mm. The Memphis Police Department officers, they were jerks, man. And I say that loose. I mean, you know,
freely.
I mean, that's probably a compliment. I'm serious. Compared to some of the way these guys were acting coming into the facility, they didn't respect us at all coming into the facility. They came in with an attitude up on their shoulders. They thought they were it. They were the it factor. When they pulled up, man, they would come in and they were just as arrogant and big-headed as they could be. Now, having said that, there were some police officers, it was a few police officers, put it that way, that came with a humble approach.
Okay.
But they came to take care of business. They came respectfully. Okay, respectable. But for the most part, Most of those officers came in with an attitude, and they looked down their noses at you. They were rotten to the core and very disrespectful to the way they approach things and handling things. And they thought that, hey, they were on top of the world. Nasty attitudes. And so that's what I've experienced from the Memphis Police Department. Some of the officers. You know, why they behave that way, I have no idea. But in this, I brought that up to talking about the situation we're in now.
Yeah, I understand. Because, like I said, when we were talking about the police mentality, right?
Yeah.
Where does that come from? Is it just arrogance because of the power? It's like a power trip.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know exactly why they act that way, but you know, they got the badge. You know, they have their guns. They have all this other kind of stuff, and you know, I guess they feel that. I don't know. But at any rate, they should never be behaving that way. They're there to protect and serve the public, not to be arrogant or overlords. You know, and I just don't get it. I don't know if anybody else has ever experienced some nasty officers in Memphis and their attitudes and things like that. Man, I mean, some of these officers I've run into, man, they don't even know who you are. I mean, you know, about who you were before they did what they did. They come in, their mouths are very nasty. Most of them I met, man, they could cuss worse than a sailor. I mean, you know, they're very nasty, vulgar, saying anything that they want to say and just cursing. I mean, beyond control sometimes.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, that's very unprofessional. And I wonder if their chief or director know about this. You know, but
you know what I think? I don't think they care. Honestly, I don't think. I think most.
It probably all depends on who's.
Yeah,
you know,
true.
I don't see Director Rollins not caring the way things are done. I don't see him behaving that way. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I just don't see him that way. And I you know, but I do believe that they will cover for each other, though.
Oh, no doubt.
You know, yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you, you know, I'll say about Director Rollins, right? Watching him, sometimes I wonder, can he be like soft in certain instances? Do you think that could be a problem?
Well,
I mean, it just seems like he could be kind of, you know, like soft on officers when it comes to certain things. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm wrong. You know,
well,
it's just a.
I don't think he could. I don't think he's a softy, but I think, you know, he sometimes it's you know, some people get the point and say, hey, I'm here for you. I'm your director. I'm here to protect you and uphold you, and you know, but sometimes you just can't do that in every situation. If the officer is wrong, you've got to, hey, look at the situation and say, brother, I'm sorry, you're wrong.
Yeah.
You know, able to say that instead of upholding the officer in a lie and lie for him. You know, I don't think Director Rollins would do that type of thing. From what I've seen, you know, but you know, hey, no. But I don't think he will behave that way. 901-213-6020.
A few comments coming in here.
Yeah, and go back to Jet, and I think he's made I hate when it has to be clear.
Oh, I got it.
Okay, you got it? Okay.
Yeah. Okay. He says, I hate when it has to be clear cut before children get support over the officer. He also says, wish he were white. I'd like to hear their tone. And that's kind of what we were talking about. As far as the police officer. And then he also says they made the right call. Greg says the officer that was fired for arresting those children was already under fire for performance issues. I do remember that. Okay. That was in the previous story from several weeks ago.
Oh, really? That same officer?
Yeah.
That slammed the girl to the ground?
Well, no. Fired. We're talking about The story that I brought up that happened in Florida with the 2 other little girls.
Oh, okay, got you. Yeah, okay.
Let's see here. Vicky says exhausting and exactly.
Yeah.
Good morning, Verdell. Good to see you, brother. Also, Jed says black children aren't people, not even to black people, for real. Wow, now, that's a strong statement. What do you think about that?
Black children aren't people.
Yeah.
Not even to black people. I don't know about that yet. I mean, black children aren't people. Not even to
It just means that they don't matter.
Black children don't matter to black people?
That's what,
I don't know about that. I think they do matter. I think it's just that you have bad people out there. You have bad officers. You have bad people.
Bad parents.
And sadly to say, there are a lot of them today out there. And that's sad.
Yeah.
That is very sad. And it makes us, that are good parents, good people, look bad because of the bad people that are rising out there. And I do get your point, but
and it makes you wonder how much these folks really care about their kids,
Mm-hmm.
It really does in some instances.
Yeah.
Good morning, Andre Becton. He says, good morning, good people.
Okay. Vicky had a statement?
Yes. She said that's not true to Jet as far as the black people don't care about their children.
Okay, she makes another statement too. You see that big old statement?
Yeah, that's a link. She said Trump tells cops they should rough people up more. During
I did hear him say that.
He did say that. Yeah.
I did hear him say that.
He did say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did. Exactly. I did remember him saying that. And Andre, good morning.
I get it.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, and then Vicky says that that's not true as far as what Jet was saying. Then Jet responds, it's the only reason they can treat children that way. Kelly says it ain't just it's in little small towns too. The cocky big head police officers.
Well, I wouldn't doubt that.
Oh, them small towns.
I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it. But it's sad to say police officers in any place, any capacity, anywhere, act arrogant and bad mannered, and do the things that. Do they feel that they have to act that way to? What is the word I'm looking for? Somebody help me out. Do they feel they have to act that way to be arrogant, or what's the word I'm looking for? No, it'll probably come to me in a minute. But to be able to do, do they feel they have to act that way to intimidate? And that's what intimidation. Intimidate. Do they feel they have to do this to intimidate people to to make the people think that they're bad, and all this other and it doesn't. I mean, to me, it makes people really disrespect police officers when they feel they've been pressured or intimidated or treated wrong.
It has the opposite effect, right? Because now people feel like, okay, you don't respect me, well, I don't respect you either.
Well, yeah, and then people want to behave that way toward officers. So
yeah, because you're going to increase that because everybody ain't just going to sit back and be scared. You're going to have more people start to retaliate. And
which
feel like,
is not a good thing.
No, it's not.
Which is not a good thing. You don't want to behave that way toward the police officers because you're feeding into some of those officers what they really want you to do is act a fool. And so they can be...
have a reason.
And be justified in their actions and what they will do or might do to you. So you don't want to do that. You don't want to behave that way. You don't want to give any place to it. Okay? All right. And Kelly says...
Yeah, and that was what I just read there. It ain't just Memphis, Mr. Bob. It's the little small towns, the cocky big head police. Then Andre Becton left a couple here. He says they don't care about us. They never have. In their eyes, all black people are criminals.
They don't care about us.
Did the police?
Okay.
Then he says black cops are trained the same way. That's why there's no difference in their approach towards us.
Hey.
Well,
I don't. You know what? I don't think police officers are trained to behave the way some of these officers behave. I don't think they're trained. No. I don't think they're trained to behave. I think these officers pick up attitudes and then try to intimidate people after they get the uniform, after they get out of school. Now, I'm a cop, so hey, walking around, and so like a Pentecostal peacock, but strutting and going on.
Yeah.
So, but the thing about it, I don't think they're. I just think that arrogant after hey, I've got it, I made it, and all this other kind of stuff. I don't feel they for the most officers to behave that way. I just don't believe that. I may be wrong, but I don't think that's the way they train to. Vicky says in a reply.
Yeah, Vicky says, I think they fear the police union. To Andre, that is.
Okay.
As far as black officers. Then Jet says, all those things we just named as bad, we didn't name the children. So with all those bads, it should cause us to love and care about children more rather than less.
Absolutely. I agree. I agree.
Now, and Greg says Vicky's correct as far as them fearing the police union. So, Greg, if you want to elaborate on that, please do.
Fearing the police union? Who's fearing the police union?
I'm guessing the black officers.
The black officers.
Because, Andre Becton said the black officers act a certain way because of the way they're trained to act towards black folks. Vicky thinks, no, it's because they're scared of the police union. And Greg seems to think that. So, if y'all can elaborate, that would be great. So that's interesting, but I don't know, man. It's one of those things that's always going to be a debate, but I do think this. I do think there's an implicit bias, at least in my opinion, when it comes to police officers and most black folks. Now, when it comes down to...
But why, though?
Well, I mean, I think they feel like they have to act a certain way when approaching black people.
Do they feel, okay, some officers may feel, okay, crime is high in the black community. You need to be on your best guard of behavior and don't take no stuff, or you can't be intimidated by black people in the black community, and then they over-respond. Officers over-respond to the situation, and it makes them look bad by over-responding, and makes them look arrogant. Well, I think they just need to remain professional when they arrive to the scene or whatever the case may be. You got to understand, officers have to understand this. People already respect them. Whether people act like they respect an officer or not, people do respect them to a certain degree. Now, that's just bottom line. When you see a police car go by, most people going to take a look at it, okay? And where it's headed, or whatever the case may be, if you're, it's just out of respect, okay. If you see a police officer pull up in your, or going by your house or whatever, or parking on the street, whatever, you're gonna know, it's gonna catch your attention because it's a police officer. I think there's more respect for police officers than probably police officers really realize, and they overreact to a lot of situations. So, and that's not good. Yeah, and then they get the response from people because they're overreacting. This officer, in this particular case, we're talking about, that threw this girl down to the floor, knowing that this was a girl. First of all, then she was much smaller than he was.
Well, special needs.
Special needs. That's what I was going to get to, too. A special needs child. Man, I mean, what in the world was he thinking? I mean, maybe the special needs child came up behind him and did what he did. They did because they were special needs. You know, sometimes special needs kids act that way.
Yeah.
You know, and they don't mean any harm by it. And so, for some reason, it seemed like some of the tape was cut out there. Some whatever reason after that, he slammed her to the floor. Man, you know, but she wasn't injured, I don't think, bad at all. But that, to me, the way she hit that floor, man, I thought
that's a hard floor.
Probably, yeah. It looked like to me, I thought she busted.
Oh, and what I want to do, if we can, for if we do, I want to play the video again.
Yeah, let's play the. Okay.
Oh, let's go to the phone lines first.
Go to the phone lines.
Call from
Greg.
Greg, welcome to the show. Good morning on a Wednesday.
Good morning, gentlemen. How are you all?
Doing well. How about yourself, sir?
Doing pretty good. Real quick, Bob, because I ain't got a lot of moments here.
Yes, sir.
But look, as far as my response to what Vicky said, I might have misunderstood or made an assumption on what she was saying. I was meaning as far as when it comes to discipline and cops, the police union is pretty powerful. You know, and they just can't, and just get rid of cops like that without coming under ire from the police union. You know, that's why a lot of times you see the differences in between the way situations are handled. No matter how egregious they seem, you see like you were talking about suspensions with pay or desk duty when it was clearly something very egregious. But, the police union, kind of dictates on how they can, discipline cops. Exactly. So that's kind of where I was going with that.
Okay.
And as far as, the interactions between cops and people and cops and white people, there's no different doctrine black cops have to go through than white cops. It's all the same training. So there is no, white cops get training on how to deal with black people in one room, and then black cops get, they get left out of that room.
Right.
There's not none of that going on.
Right.
But I say this, I think sometimes the difference comes to, familiarity and unfamiliarity, right? For instance, a black cop will assume he knows how to point out bad black people, whereas a white cop looks at all black people bad.
So. Okay.
And that may, cause look,
but not all white cops look at us that way.
No. Well, I'm just giving it just a broad scope.
Right. Got you.
So, as far as I've been arrested several times. I've been arrested by a black police officer. Had bad interactions with black police officers. And not want to listen to anything I had to say. I mean, I had one particularly bad situation. Now, gladly I don't let emotions run me. Because if I did that day, it could have ended pretty bad for me at a work site.
Oh, man.
Cop rolled up on me, and come to a screeching halt. And I get him a uniform. I got, my truck is right there in plain view too. He gets out. He goes, "What you doing over here?" And I just try to bring, I try to bring a little levity to the situation. I just pointed to my logo on my shirt, and I was smiling. And, he goes, oh, you want to be an a-hole. Okay.
What?
Well, I bet you if I get out this car, I could be a bigger a-hole than you. And I was just like, wow. I said, okay, man, look, I'm just working, man. I'm, checking around his side. And then he gave me that look up and down, rolled his window off and sped off. Rolled his window up and sped off.
See, that's the kind. See, Greg,
what was that all about?
Greg, that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. The arrogancy, the way they behave sometimes, just because they're riding in the car and they feel that, hey, I'm the Lord of the streets. And that type of thing. I could talk to you any kind of, and that's not the way officers should behave. And I don't think they train them that way either. So, but man, that was nasty. Greg, you still there? Okay. Think we lost Greg?
Yeah, I'm guessing so.
Okay. All right. 901-213-6020. Yes, Josh.
Yeah, but
Vicky left a long message here.
All right, let's see. You go back here.
What we know when one is black.
Got it. I should put a link here, too, to an article. I guess this is where this came from. Oh, man, let's see.
Wow. She got number 1, number 2.
Yeah, and this is from this article.
Okay.
By the way. But I'm going to take time to read that, definitely.
Yeah.
But here it is. So then Vicky also says, the color of our skin determines the outcome 100% of the time with police officers. She also says police officers to protect and serve crap out of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely not supposed to do that. Absolutely. Andre Beckton said, in the same sentence as the bad children, who is to blame for the bad police officers? Mm-hmm. If 10 bad cops doing all the bad things, do the other 20 cops, good cops, don't say something, it then makes them all bad? Well,
when you're having...
well, I think, I'm going to say this straight up.
Yeah.
You don't, look, as much as we say good and bad and all that stuff, if you're covering up for bad, you're bad. Mm-hmm. Point blank period. Even if you didn't do it. You know, even if you don't even have something on your resume. You know, you get what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you don't be a punk and cover up for somebody else's wrongdoing. You're supposed to be a different example, you being the police officers, than the streets. That's what the streets do. You know what I'm saying? Yet the streets, like, you don't snitch. You know, even if, you know, your brother did, kill somebody or rob somebody or do this, do that.
So it's not a good thing for police officers to have a rule like, okay, man, you snitch on the brothers.
Yeah, exactly, man.
You know,
I mean,
snitch on the all other officers. If you see us doing wrong, you don't snitch. That's not a good thing for officers to have. That's not a good thing in the way for officers to behave at all. Yeah, I don't agree on that.
Gotcha. But I do want to, if I could play this video again.
Yeah, let's play this video again.
That we made.
Take a listen to this. Take a look at it, folks. Tell me what you think about this officer and this child in this video.
Yeah.
Take a listen, and we'll be back after this. Phone lines are open, 901-213-6020. Take a listen.
After a shocking video showed him slamming a teenage girl to the ground. The surveillance footage caught 38-year-old school resource officer, look at that, Willard Miller, manhandling the 15-year-old girl at a school for children with special needs. He is charged with 1 count of felony child abuse without great bodily harm. He's now been suspended without pay. Mola Langi's across the street from Cross Creek School, that's in Pompano Beach, Florida. Mola, this video is very tough to watch. What story?
Well, yeah, good morning, Gail. The incident happened here back in September here at this school, as you mentioned, for students with behavioral and emotional issues. Now, because the video is silent, we can't hear exactly what was said in the room. But while this investigation is ongoing, the Broward County Sheriff says that the officer's actions were unacceptable.
Just after 2 p.m. on September 25th, school surveillance video shows a 15-year-old girl waiting inside an office with an officer and 2 other adults. You can see the student lightly kick the officer in the back of the knee, causing his leg to slightly buckle. But a minute later, the officer rushes over, grabs her around the neck, and slams her to the ground. He then turns her over, puts his knee into her back, and holds her hands behind her before throwing her into another room.
The way the deputy responds for whatever occurred, whatever type of verbal dialogue was going on, it makes no sense and it wasn't necessary.
School resource officers nationwide have come under increasing scrutiny for several recent excessive force claims involving young children. In New Mexico, a resource officer resigned after body cam video from August showed him tackle an 11-year-old middle school student to the ground. And in September, an Orlando officer was fired after he arrested 2 6-year-olds at school. In Broward, the sheriff's department is focused on fixing its own problems. Just this year, Sheriff Gregory Toney fired this deputy for punching a handcuffed man in the hospital. And he suspended 2 deputies without pay for tackling and pepper spraying a 15-year-old boy in a McDonald's parking lot.
If I have to do this 15 more times, we're going to do it 15 more times. And to those small fraction of people out there and deputies who don't get it, and we're going to move them on.
Now, the Broward County Sheriff's Office is conducting an internal investigation before deciding what steps to take next with the officer in this latest incident, including possible termination. If convicted, Deputy Miller faces up to 5 years in prison, Anthony.
All right, Mola, thank you. As hard as that video is to watch, it's good that we have it so we know what happened.
But I applaud Broward County. Yeah. Normally in those sometimes in those situations, officials say, well, you haven't seen the whole tape. Yep. There's more to the story. He's saying, what we just saw, whatever happened,
not acceptable.
My mother is a special education teacher. Those jobs are full of tough calls, but the one we saw on that tape was not a tough call.
Absolutely right.
All right, there you have it. And
so here's the problem. 48% of Americans.
They're talking tough about this and situation. In most cases, you would hear them talking about the benefit of the doubt for the officer. Mm-hmm. But this is a 15-year-old.
Yeah, 15.
Girl.
Found out she's 15.
Yeah, girl. And the way he slammed her down here, man. And like I said, the video was cut. Seemed like it was cut some.
Yeah.
And I don't know what else was done. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm very curious what was said by the girl. But like I said, either way, it's not going to justify the level of violence, because as big as that guy was, man, he didn't need to do all that. I mean, the way he grabbed her by the neck, sweeped her leg, and just slammed her into the ground.
Yeah.
But I'm still curious what was said. Because...
What makes you think something was said, though?
I mean, he just got set off in a second, you know?
Tim.
Okay, let's go to the phone lines. Tim, welcome to the show.
Tim.
Good morning on a Wednesday.
Hi there. I feel like I call too much.
No, no, you don't.
Oh, no.
What's going on, man?
So this for the first time. This is the first time me watching that video just now.
Mm-hmm.
And the officer is 100% wrong. Now, I don't know what the call was leading up to that. He was a school resource officer, so I don't know what happened to that. But it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Again, when we talked a few weeks ago, the use of force guidelines, it only are escalated when the person escalates them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say the offender or whatever it is, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So by her walking, if she was flailing her arms, if she was doing something aggressive, okay, he could absolutely justify possibly taking her to the ground if she was not listening to verbal command.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
there's things above. There's things in between that as well.
Yeah.
But in a situation like that, you really don't want to taser someone if you don't have to, especially a child. You don't want to pepper spray someone in a room,
right?
Because everyone's going to be affected, including the officer.
Right.
So there's between. So going hands-on and detaining her with handcuffs or whatever like that would be warranted. However, nothing in any police training says you grab someone by the neck.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
In this particular situation, man, this was
brutal.
I mean, for the girl her size and I didn't see anything in the video to where she was threatening to him in any way that would cause him to behave the way he did.
The only way, even with that, I mean, the only way I could ever see anybody getting somebody's trying to kill you, and you grab them like that or something.
Yeah, but in this what we saw.
I won't even go that far. You don't have to be in like something like threatening with serious bodily injury or death.
Yeah.
But you still there has to be something going on to where you're going to detain someone like that. Let's say she was just, let's say, I don't know if that was a classroom or the nurse's office or a principal. I don't know the setting. And I would also be curious to see the video prior to that. Now, and this doesn't justify it, but let's take parents, okay? And this is just human reaction, okay? When you have a child who's misbehaving, and for the sixth time today you've told them to do something that they're not doing, by number 6 or 7 you're going to lose your temper, and you're going to have enough.
True.
Now, I'm not justifying it. Please understand what he did was wrong. Now, I don't know. Prior to this, I'd be curious. Again, it's justified. The outcome doesn't change.
Right.
I'd be curious as to what happened. But if the officer just walked up and did that, that would be pretty ugly. I worked a side job one time, and the news, there was a woman who actually spit on a police at another location, spit on a police officer, and that police officer, he ended up actually grabbing her by the neck and taking her to the ground as well.
Oh wow!
And the news got a hold of the video restaurant, and of course they aired it in Chicago, and it was all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, oh my God, this officer, blah 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 blah. And what they didn't show was the seconds before, and the officer was completely cleared of any charge. First off, they never charged him. He was never charged because they had the whole video. The state's attorney saw everything. There was no, and the woman ended up getting 12 months. And in Cook County, 12 months, you got to do something in Cook County to get 12 months.
12 months. Wow.
Yeah. And her charge was battery on law enforcement using bodily fluid. So,
wow.
But that's what they didn't show that. Now, the reason he did grab her by the neck, when he grabbed her by like the arm and neck, it wasn't just the neck.
Yeah.
Was because of the confined quarters that they were in. You know what I mean? Not
So he would control her, or in the space in the space that they had.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And he didn't keep twisting and beating on her. He didn't do anything like that. He literally just took her to the ground. She was not hurt. And then what comes out in the end, priors and all this other stuff. So like I said, I would be curious to find out what it was that happened beforehand, because all that does play a little bit of a part. It's real easy for mainstream media to show him grabbing her by the neck, throwing her to the ground,
right?
And then the clip's over with. Oh, okay, there's a story there that's not being told.
And see, that's
100% certainty.
That's just what I was going to say, Tim, because, it's kind of what I was hitting on, because I'm curious. And like I said, it doesn't really matter, because he was wrong, especially, like a child or whatever. But I'm curious what was, because they said there was no audio. And what it almost looked like to me was something was said, and then it just set him off over the edge to do such a thing. That's what it looked like to me. I don't know if something pissed him off to the point where he's like, hey, I need to do this, and then threw her in the closet. So I don't know. I'm sure more information is going to come out.
If anything was said, to him, or something was said derogatory or whatever the case may be.
But this is a special needs child.
Then he should have approached a teacher or someone or something like that and said, hey, this child needs to be under control for whatever reason, blah, 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 blah. But to grab a person and then throw him on the floor, to me, man, I was shocked that she did not get injured, from looking at that thing. And but to do what he did, and then he didn't continue to beat her or anything like that. He just handcuffed her and then threw her in the room. What's going on in that room? Who's in that room? I don't know. Right. But yeah.
And one comment too, as far as the special needs go. Now, he was a school resource officer, I believe he said, and so he knew that this was that there are special needs children already. The only thing I was going to say is, before I heard that he was the school resource officer, which that changes things, because now you know what you're dealing with as far as special needs go.
Yeah.
Often people like to say that, after the fact, like, for instance, you guys can talk for an hour or two on this topic, the news can cover this for a week, all that. There was, in so many situations, the police officers get a call saying, students out, this or wherever it might be. You might, it might be a home, it might be a store, it might be something like that.
Right.
And they have to go in, and when I talk about, again, using use of force guidelines, someone they're breaking the law. You give your verbal command. That you maybe try to tell them to stop. They don't stop. then you go to the next step on the use of force guidelines, and then take them to the ground. They struggle. They're fighting with you. You have to fight back, and it's not always pretty. We go through different point control tactics, but they're very outdated, and it's in a perfect situation without somebody fighting back. They work great. When someone fights back, sometimes you got to go into street mode. I'm sad to say, but
you're right.
You know what I mean? Like it's the gloves are off, and someone's trying to beat you, and you got to beat them back. So, and it sucks, but it is what it is. And but here's what happens then on the news. Special needs. You see the way the officer handled this person. But how in the world is an officer supposed to get? And there's a kid on top of the hood of somebody's car that's damaging it. You tell him to get down. He doesn't listen. You go hands on with him. People are recording it. He's punching and flailing at you. You're trying to flip him around, take him into custody. A couple of how you doing and what for? You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? You got and then now you're on the news for beating a special needs child who was 17 and 6'1".
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a tough position.
It's real easy to paint an ugly picture, but the reality of it is, and the prosecutors and state's attorneys from the local agencies or local counties and jurisdictions, they're not going to touch that with a 10-foot pole because the officer didn't have a choice.
So let me ask you this, just based on a couple of comments I'm getting. I want to get your thoughts on this.
Sure.
We got Jet says the officer was still wrong. And he says, now, I might have reacted the same way, but if he did something against policy, he should have been reprimanded for it. Can't keep pushing that line. Then also, before we get your response, was Vicky that said, whatever happened to de-escalation techniques?
Well, this is what we don't know beforehand. We don't know exactly what. And this is something that every police officer deals with when just talking to people what's off duty, right? I had to deal with this cop. He stopped me for no reason. I know I'm getting thrown around. Time out. That's not true. That's not true. Something brought the police officer to the situation.
I agree.
Two, what happened in between? Because you don't just get stopped for no reason. And, they bust your window and pull you out of a car and kick your butt on the side of the road. That doesn't happen. Yeah. Okay? I'm not saying that there isn't police brutality. I'm not saying there's not bad seeds out there. That's not what I'm saying. Okay. I'm just saying overall, everyone likes to play the I didn't do anything and look what happened to me card. That's not true. Even in bad situations where, let's say, people could totally be vindicated. You didn't do anything wrong. At the scene of whatever it is not the time. Is not the time for court. You know what I'm saying? Like if people would just stop the police officer, even if he's an a-hole, the police officer says, "Stop! Put your hands on the wall." Don't put your hands in your pocket, and they turn around, they give them the finger, and keep walking. Okay, I guarantee you now this is not going to turn out well for you with 100% certainty.
Yeah.
And if that's your claim for I didn't do anything wrong, you're wrong. However, if you stop and listen for a second, even if it hurts your pride, you're going to see a completely different outcome. Okay. Because if you haven't done anything wrong, allow even if the police officer's a jerk, allow him to determine that. Allow him to have to let you go instead of throwing the hooks on you. But either way, even if he's going to take you to, if you don't fight, there's not going to be a resisting charge.
Yeah.
That's some good points, man.
All right.
It's perspective, people, because I think emotions can kind of get situations even more, escalated than they probably need.
And I do agree.
Despite the wrong.
I do agree that in a lot of cases, sometimes when going down with police officers, but then the other person that's being arrested or they say things and do things.
Or they freak out.
Or are they really freaking out? Or they're just rebelling against authority? But yet at the same time.
And too, a lot of people if a police officer says, "Hey, step out of the car," right?
Mm-hmm.
Traffic stop. And, I was watching a video just yesterday, as a matter of fact, and I saw, a guy who had cracked his window about 2 inches. And the police officer, "Can you roll your window?" "No, I can hear you just fine." "Okay," he says, "just step out of the car."
Mm-hmm.
"I don't have to. I know my rights," and blah, blah, and that's where it went south.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. The U.S. Supreme Court says if the officer wants you out of the car, you don't have the without it's a criminal offense. If he wants you out of the car, the police officer can make the traffic stop and stop. He can follow you for 6 miles and then stop you until he finds a place that is safe. And he can also, when he wants you out of the car, you don't have a choice. Well, you have a choice.
Well, Tim, I think, yeah. But see, here's the situation. In some situations to where a cop walk up to a car. Okay, he pulls you over. Okay, walks up to your window, and then before you roll your window down, the officer has to tap on the window. First of all, wrong move. Okay, the officer is coming up to your car, and he's going to come up there. He stopped you for a reason. Mm-hmm. And when he approached your car and your window, and you're sitting there with your window up, and he has to knock on your window or tap on it with his hand or something, say, "Please let your window down." Wrong move. This whole stop has already gone wrong by them not rolling the window down. That's total disrespect.
To a point. There's been situations where, I would say that, you walk up to a car, the window's up, it's raining or something like that. Or especially when it's cold out, you stop. Sometimes it takes us a minute to call the license plate in and the location of the stop and what's going on. Or in the computer in the car, I'm going to run the plate first before I go and approach the people, or not. It all depends. So sometimes there can be a minute. So, not having your window down if it's blowing cold or raining or so, I understand that.
Well, what I'm talking about, Tim, is when the officer is at your window.
Yes.
And you're sitting there and not rolling the window down. Now, I'm going to tell you something, Tim. There's more people that do that kind of crap out there than we really believe. That'll sit there with their windows rolled up and the officer's standing at the window, and then he knocks on the window and asks you to roll your window down. When that happens, first of all, when that takes place, that's everything's beginning to go wrong. Okay? The officer has to tap on to ask you to roll it down, and he's been standing there outside your window for 5 seconds, and he has to tap on the window to ask you to roll it down. Things have already turned for the words. It's already gone wrong. That person in the car has already started something. Okay?
Well, and two, believe it or not, that happens more with women than it does men.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that.
And that's and the reason is typically you'll make the stop, you walk up to the car, and they're fumbling through their purse. They don't even know you're there. Or they're digging in the glove compartment, which is okay because that gives me a minute to kind of see what's in the car. Mm-hmm. I mean, do you have when your attention is not on me, you're not going to shoot me.
Okay.
So looking to see what your hands are doing.
Mm-hmm.
Are you digging through the glove box for a gun? Are you digging through your purse for a gun or a knife? Or are you looking? Do you have paperwork spread out all over the? You know what I'm saying when you're looking.
Okay.
And then I can knock on the window and roll it down. But I mean, either way, you still handle it the same way, and that's where the professionalism comes in. You still handle it. I wouldn't start yelling at someone because their window wasn't down.
Yeah.
But when they roll it down and you let them know who you are, why you stopped them, and you request their driver's license and insurance or friction.
Another thing. I'm not with this. When they finally knock on your window, then you roll it down about an inch and say, yeah, what you want?
I've seen that.
Come on, man. All they're doing here is making this traffic stop worse.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They're antagonizing. You're antagonizing. You're asking for problems. And, you see so many instances out there. I mean, everything from watching, like cops and live PD and videos on the internet, stuff that goes viral on Facebook. You see so many instances out there where people, if they would have just shut their mouth, answered the question, give them their driver's license, take the ticket, and go deal with court later. Mm-hmm. They would have saved themselves so much time, energy, heartache, and money by not having to defend themselves because their mouth got them in trouble.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? Like,
and no, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, you want to sit there and dispute. If you want to sit there and dispute the violation, listen, I can't believe this. There were 30 cars in the road, and you picked me up. I did pick you up.
Okay, we have a question.
Why did you pick me up? Why? Well, because I'm cars, and you were the safest one for me to pull over.
Tim, I got a question for you from a listener. He says, ask him if I get to fear for my life based on recent police behavior.
Do you get to fear? I would say you can fear for your life, but there's, again, the force or the use of force for a person is no different than it is for the police. Okay? Now, when you're dealing with the police, here's where you're not going to have to fear for your if you're doing what you're told. If you're doing what you're told, don't grab a gun, don't grab a knife, keep your hands out of your pockets and do what you're told. You're not going to because no one's going to stick a gun in your face.
Okay. All right.
You know what I'm saying? No one's going to throw you to the ground and beat you. No one's going to pull you out. You might come out of the car, but if someone says get out of the car, you get out of the car. If you don't run, okay? Don't run. That's not smart either.
Hey, hold on. Now, let me put this out because some of these comments. Andre Bechter, he said, "What dude is basically saying, dude being Tim, is saying, just do what you're told, or you're gonna get your butt whooped."
No, I disagree. If the police did that, they just pulled you out of the car and started putting the boots on you. Every police officer would not have a job because every and police agency out there would be completely broke with nothing but lawsuits. Now, when you fight the police because you don't want, let's say, if you have a warrant, understand something. At some point in time, you're gonna have to come to light with that. You're gonna have to. You know what I'm saying? You might be able to skate it for a long time, but at some point it's going to happen. Now, if you want to run from the police, if you want to fight them, if you want to disobey them, if you think that you're going to talk yourself out of it based on the license plate light on your car is out. That is a vehicle code violation. That is probable cause to stop your car. As weak as you may think that is, it works.
Yeah.
Okay? It has teeth. And the court identifies it. Now, whether like it or not, I'm not here to debate whether you like that charge or not, or that infraction. But the fact of the matter is when you're stopped for that, and you're rolling around dirty, or you got a warrant, or whatever it is, and you don't want to identify yourself, now you're going to jail for that. Okay. You're also going to you know what I mean? And if you want to fight the officer or argue that on the side of the road, you're going to lose every single time.
Okay.
Every time.
All right. Hey, Tim, we appreciate the call, man.
Great stuff, man.
Great
So much.
stuff. You got a lot of people.
You got a lot of action on the comments. I can't read all these, but
all right,
man, we appreciate you.
Thanks, bro.
All right, 90. We're out of time,
we're out of time. We're right at the buzzer.
You want to read some of the comments before we get out of here?
Yeah. Let me go back a little bit.
Back away there.
Okay, here we go. She kicked him. Andre Beckton put twice. Now, I need to ask Andre this. So, do you mean by her kicking, does that kind of justify what he did a little bit more, in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, is that what you're saying?
It sounds like now.
You gotta understand now. That's a special needs child.
But she kicked him.
It would be totally different if it was me or
regular
you,
15, yeah,
or a regular 15-year-old. And just coming up behind a police officer, they know better.
Yeah.
A regular 15-year-old child is not a special need. They're not going to walk behind a police officer and kick him in his leg.
Yeah,
okay.
I would think so.
Their way of thinking is going to be, man, I'm not going to kick that police officer. I'm not going to do that, But a special needs child will do
it's
that.
Possible, yeah. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't think they do it out of
malice,
disrespect, or trying to hurt the officer. It's just the behavior. And if this is what the officer threw the girl down for, shame on him. It's bottom line. Okay, what else we got, Josh?
Let's see. Lord, man, I wish I was able to ask him that question, Jet. He just, what the person do if the police tries to sexually assault them, even man on man? Comply? I mean, come on, man. I don't think he's saying that. Look, don't ask no question. No.
Okay, so are we saying this doesn't happen?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure it does. Look, I mean, we talked about that police officer that ran for city council in Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
You remember he had two situations like that.
Yeah, that funny guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Davin Clemens.
Yeah.
Shout out to Mike Williams. But, and Ed Ford ended up winning that seat.
Yeah.
But, anyway.
That's good.
Yes.
Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Greg says that was, he responded to Andre about some comment here. I'm not exactly sure what they were talking about, but let me go to Jets here. He says, kid on top of a car. Then those code words 6-1. Old kid came after special needs, which reduces that point. But back to kid on top of a car. The cop got to take on a disabled child were made justifiable to protect property. Wow, okay. He said that's so America.
Okay.
Then Andre Beckton said that's a lie in some response to what Tim was saying. Then Jet says, and those instructions about getting out of the car are very informative. That's why he's such a good caller. Andre Beckton says, everybody's not trying to shoot you. I think a lot of these responses are to Tim here. Then Jet says, ask him if I get to fear for my life. And we did ask him that question.
Right. What is that Greg saying replied to Andre Beckton? Did you read that? That was in North Carolina, he said?
Yeah, I'm not sure what he was referring to, what Andre was saying.
Okay.
But he said that, I don't want to read if we don't understand the context. But I guess they know. But,
okay.
So, yeah, there's a lot of little comments here. Good stuff. Let me skip ahead here. Andre Beckton says, special needs man just got killed in L.A. Wow. Shot dead in the street.
Really?
May need to check that out for tomorrow, potentially.
Oh, I didn't hear about that.
Vicky says, whether black folks get out of hand, the system takes it to a whole nother level. Here's Tim. Okay, Tim's jumped in. Tim said, did the police know he was special needs prior to him being shot? So we got Tim in on the regular feed now. So now y'all can address him directly.
Did the police know he was special needs prior to him being shot?
He's asking.
Well,
Well, hear me out though. Now, because we don't even know the story yet.
Yeah.
You know, so we'll check it out.
We'll check out the story and then see if it's worthy talking about tomorrow. So we'll check it out. Okay. Hey, Josh, that's going to do it for us today. And, hey, folks, we appreciate your comments, your phone calls, and all the other things. Our prayers go out to the families of the 2 TDOT workers that were killed early this morning in a traffic accident on I-40 westbound heading into the city. 18-wheeler tractor trailer hit a state trooper. State trooper was sitting in his car, and he was injured and taken to Region 1, and they're not certain of how everything's going to turn out there. But the 2 TDOT people were killed on the interstate this morning, and but I wouldn't say they have in custody, but the trucker, the guy that was driving the tractor trailer, was taken to the hospital, Region 1, to be examined, and all those things. So everything is depending on what the outcome is on a lot of things out there this morning on I-40. Be careful as you're approaching. If you're coming into Jackson, Tennessee, you're headed this way, you have loved ones, call them, let them know it's still backed up out there on the freeway. And folks, be careful. Be careful. And hey, it's been a pleasure to be with you today. And we'll be back tomorrow, I think, right, Josh? Yep. We'll be back tomorrow morning, coming up this afternoon at 2 p.m. Talkback Live Sports. Josh got some things to talk about this afternoon as well. Hey, have a wonderful day today. Be blessed. And we'll talk to you again next time.
This is Sergeant Chris Richardson of the Tennessee Highway Patrol, here to explain the Tennessee Hands-Free Law, which is a new state law effective July 1st, 2019. In Public Chapter 412, it makes it illegal for a driver to hold a cell phone or a mobile device with any part of their body, to write, send, or read any text-based communication, to reach for a cell phone or mobile device in a manner that requires the driver to no longer be in a seated driving position or properly restrained by a seatbelt, to watch a video or a movie on a cell phone or a mobile device, and to record or broadcast video on a cell phone or mobile device. So, can I still talk on my cell phone while driving? Yes. A driver is permitted to use an earpiece, headphone device, or a device worn on a wrist to conduct a voice-based communication. The driver may use one button on a cell phone or mobile device to initiate or terminate voice communication, and voice-based communication may also be used to send a text message. Learn more at handsfreetn.com.
CJ Used Appliances, located at 3530 Jackson Avenue here in Memphis, Tennessee. Call them at 901-487-7882. CJ Used Appliances has the best prices in town, sales and service, heating and air. Also the best appliances you'll find anywhere in the Mid-South. Refrigerators, microwave stoves, washers and dryers, deep freezers, dishwashers, whatever you need in used appliances. And folks, I'll tell you, they're the best used appliances anywhere you'll find. That's CJ Used Appliances, 3530 Jackson Avenue. All appliances come with warranty. You can call them at 901-487-7882. Again, 901-487-7882. CJ Used Appliances. C-Graphics Printing, located at 890 East Range Road in Memphis, a complete print shop for all your printing needs. They do it all. Color copies, resumes, funeral programs, rubber stamps, full-color business cards, wedding and graduation invitations, and more. 30-plus years of quality work and service. They're open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m., located at 890 East Range Road in Memphis, Tennessee, 901-345-9294. C-Graphics Printing.
This is Sergeant Chris Richardson with the Tennessee Highway Patrol. Pedestrian safety is a two-way street. Both drivers and walkers need to do their part to keep roads safe. When you're walking, remember, the drivers may not always see you, so remember to use these tips to continue to walk safely. Wear bright clothes. Always use crosswalks and obey signs. Lights and reflectors should be used. And finally, keep alert and do not walk distracted. This message brought to you by the Tennessee Highway Patrol.
CNS Motors Auto Sales, located at 2508 Summer Avenue, here in Memphis, Tennessee. Call them at 901-323-8778. CNS Motors Auto Sales has been around since 1984. Go by and see Chris today for some of the best pre-owned and used vehicles in the city. They have SUVs, minivans, cars, trucks, whatever you're looking for in pre-owned used vehicles. Hey, you can find it right there at CNS Motors Auto Sales. See Chris since 1984. They will treat you right. Call them at 901-323-8778. That's 901-323-8778, 2508 Summer Avenue, CNS Motors Auto Sales.